What's good, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Really hope you watched the one from yesterday because that ended up being a 6R banger. But anyways, in this video, we're going to get into the trade setup that you should be looking for on Bitcoin for today, because we've already established this earlier, but we have CPI later today, and chances are this is going to be one of the bigger days for this entire week. We have been waiting for this one, so yeah, before we get into it, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Shwen. I've been publicly documenting these trade calls that I've been making on Bitcoin for the last year and a half. And so far, out of 200 trades called, I am sitting at around a 78% win rate. So if you're new here, just understand that I tend to be right a little bit more often than I'm wrong. So you're probably in the right place. But with that aside, let's get into the Bitcoin video. So first things first, let's kick things off with Bitcoin on daily chart. Now, we've already established, I've mentioned this a couple of times before on Monday and Tuesday's videos, so I'm not going to get too deep into this, but essentially CPI today is, at the very least, based on expectations, is going to come in a little bit hotter than we might expect. How this is playing to Bitcoin. Now, when inflation is high, it means that the Federal Reserve is not able to increase the interest rates. Now, risk assets like Bitcoin, like the stock market, NASDAQ, S&P, whatever you name it, like as long as it's considered a risk asset, they are not going to perform as well if the market is in a state where interest rates are high, because then liquidity is kind of dry and it's just not the environment for risk assets to perform. So CPI comes in hotter today. Expect Bitcoin to continue dumping. But macroeconomic news aside, we've already established the fact over basically the last 3 weeks, if you take a look at just the thumbnails from the last 3 weeks, Clarence, feel free to drop a mass screenshot here of every single time I've been telling you to sell. Like, I've been telling you nothing other than to sell. Because in terms of the overall order flow, like, everything is pointing to the fact that Bitcoin is bearish, and this is unlikely to change until at the very least, I think we hit 50K. Like, that's kind of like a minimum kind of level that you want to hit. The reason is not because I say it is. It's simply from understanding liquidity concepts and using this same system that's managed to allow us to be right about 8 out of 10 times over the last year and a half or so, that whenever the market is in a downtrend, you have to immediately bring your mind to, all right, where is the target? Because the market's not just going to go up or down for no reason. It is going down. There's usually a target. Targets are prior lows on the weekly chart, at the very least. This is the higher time frame that we're using. So essentially, this one's already been taken. Now, if we wanted to see a reversal, right, if there was going to be a reversal, it would have happened. But the fact is, not only have you come back up into a bearish PD array over here, that's a fair bit of gap, but you have now broke below this level, right? Again, this is another CISD, which means that this is going to be even more bearish order flow. So essentially, once this liquidity point was taken, we failed to get a reversal, which tells you that market is going for something further. And at the moment, that seems to be at $50,000. So until that gets hit, we are going to continue going for longs, and not because I say so, or not because of whatever reason other than the fact that this is what the market seems to be telling us at the moment. And when the market speaks, we listen. So going down into the daily chart, obviously we have a bearish daily bias. I've already established the fact on Monday that ideally I would have loved to see a retracement into this fair bit of gap right here before we go down. But I also did say that if the market just started dumping from here on out, like, we are also just going to listen and adapt to what the market is trying to tell us by going short, essentially by selling low and then buying back lower, which is kind of how shorting works. It's not about trying to yes, it's important to have, theses, and it's important to have scenarios that you're planning for. But if they don't happen, it is what it is. Like, it doesn't mean that you have to be adamant. Like, at the end of the day, just understand this. You could aim, you can optimize your efforts to be right in the markets, or you can optimize your efforts to make money in the markets. And one thing's for sure, you do not have to be right to make money from the markets. So we had a couple of scenarios that we mapped out from earlier in the week, but if one of them does not happen, then you simply adapt to the other one that is happening. That's exactly what we're getting right now. So just going into the rest of what we're looking for in Bitcoin here on the 1 hourly chart. So this was the beauty of a trade that I called yesterday, and really hope you guys managed to take it as well. But outside of that, order flow is still currently quite bearish. The fact that you have gotten a 1 hourly candle close below this level shows that this is 100% fully bearish. And so there's only really two ways that I see today playing out. The first of which is going to be, you have a bearish order block over here. Let me just remove this one right here so that we don't get confused. So you have a bearish order block over here, and you also have a bearish order block that price is currently trading back into right here, right now. So from this point onwards, it's already valid in the sense where order flow is bearish, right? There's nothing about this that is bullish. So as long as order flow is bearish and you're in the right timing zone, which right now we're in the London kill zone, then this is already a valid entry. You could just go short right here, right now, and just target for lower. Now, knowing that we have CPI later, it might be better to wait for the hour before news to the hour after news. Now, why that time specifically? Well, that's because during high impact red folder news, as you can see right here, the highest probability time windows for you to be trading is going to be the hour before the news towards the hour after the news. So basically, if we can narrow down the time window where things are most likely to happen, and most importantly, like if you do take a trade within this time window, you will have the highest chances of success. It's going to be between 7:30 to 9:30. So there are only really two ways that this can play out. The first of which is that you happen to sweep this high right here. You come in to fill in this, fairly gap / order block, and then around 7:30 to 9:30, you're going to see a breakdown on the 5-minute chart, in which case this is going to be your entry, and you're probably just going to target this low right here that we formed yesterday. Now, the second way that this plays out is the price currently continues dumping right away. And we will confirm this the moment I go into the 5-minute chart. But for now, understand that if price just simply continues dumping, then you are just going to follow that momentum, basically like yesterday, right? But at the time that I was making the video, I was already saying like, yeah, we're in a bear short block, everything's bearish and we're looking for a short. And over here was when we got that 5-minute breakdown at the time that I was recording the video. And the moment I finished recording the video, took trade, place a stop and place my target exactly where I said I would place it yesterday. Same thing here. Price is already in a bearish order block. As long as you see a breakdown, as long as price continues to go down, right? By the time you guys watch the video, you would have probably been around this kind of like zone over here. When you guys see this, as long as price continues to go down, you can just short that. Like here's the mindset shift that will kind of make this easier for you. Yesterday, we already set the target that, hey, price is very likely to go towards that liquidity point right there. And as long as you understand that price is heading towards that zone, why would you not? Like it does not make too much of a difference between shorting here, right? As long as you are aware and confident the price is heading towards this direction, you can still get in to take advantage of the move. In terms of today, our targets are going to be between 60,000, right? This bunch of liquidity points over here. I'm not going to try to predict which one's going to be the bottom. Honestly, I don't care either, because when price gets to these levels, we are going to be sitting at a very comfortable 2 to maybe 3R. So right here are 4 liquidity points that price is likely to hit today. And as long as we're confident that price is, heading towards any one of these levels, we can still take advantage of this. This is the essence of momentum trading. This is the essence of what makes my system so profitable. It's not that I'm trying to predict moves. I'm not trying to, read into, what are potential tops and bottoms. I'm simply identifying the trend and following that trend. Essentially, buy high, sell higher, or sell low, buy back lower. This reduces a lot of the headache. It's a very simple system, and yet it works. If you'd like to learn the system, by the way, feel free to click the first link in the description box below. Book a call. We'll hear you out. We'll see if we can help. If we can, I'll make you an offer. If we can't, then we'll simply at least point you. And if we can't, we'll at least point you in the right direction with an exact roadmap so that you know what to do to improve ASAP. But either way, just going down into the 5-minute chart, now that I've kind of broken down a lot of the context, let's see if this kind of meets the criteria for an entry right away. And yeah, potentially, yeah. Right here, you got a 5-minute CISD that happened that got confirmed 30 seconds ago. So I'm probably going to jump into this one once again. Although I may or may not want to wait for, these res. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to try this entry myself. I'll kind of give you guys an update on whether or not this works. If this works, this is going to be an absolutely legendary one, because the stop loss is really tight compared to the target that we're aiming for. But I still think if you watch this video at any time after the London kill zone, which is this video is likely to be produced, or rather released after London kill zone, because well, we do need a bit of time to edit the video and to actually post it. If you're watching this after the London kill zone, I'd say just wait until 7:30 a.m. and at that point, feel free to follow me on Twitter, because if there is a trade setup worth taking, I'm going to be posting it and you guys can follow along. Let's not get it behind any signals groups or whatever. But with that said, just one final thing before I kind of leave you off with this. If that scenario A does happen and you start, edging towards the upside, and if you end up getting a candle close above $62,000 on the 1 hourly chart, in a usual scenario, we would say that this is a bullish CISD and that we would kind of this would invalidate the bearish scenario. But in today's case, because of what we've already established, the fact that we have CPI, the fact that, the CPI has a very clear narrative as to, if inflation goes higher than usual, then we're going to be looking for, some sort of if inflation goes higher than usual, then we have every reason under the sun to believe that that price is going to actually dump. In today's case, it's going to be a bit of a special scenario, but in the event that you do get that CISD above the upside, we're going to treat that as a false kind of manipulative move. And we're actually still going to look for a short as long as we get that 5-minute breakdown at the news timing window. But with that said, I'll see you guys later on X. But otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow in tomorrow's video. If you enjoy these, by the way, drop a like and drop a subscribe. I know it doesn't take much from you, but for me, it genuinely helps to keep me going. I've been making these videos for like a year and a half now, and we're still averaging like 1,000 views per video. If your support helps grow this, you can guarantee that one thing's for sure, I'm going to be way more motivated to continue showing up every day. Now, I've been doing this for a while now, but genuinely, a bit of your support goes a long way. But outside of that, I'll see you guys later or potentially tomorrow. Ciao, ciao.